Good morning. How's it going? Wednesday, April 8th. Coming to you live from the Great White North. How's it going? Cody Jansen with you on 12 Ounce Sports World Hockey Report live. Wednesday edition. Yes, there's still hockey stuff we have to get to. Busy time. Show brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes, things are running a little slim. And if you want to get in on the action. But of course, MyBookie's going to keep you up to date with how much stuff they've got going on. They've got the live casino. They've got all of that set up, ready to go for you. MyBookie.ag. When you're going to make a deposit, use promo code 12OZSports, and they're going to match your deposit of up to $1,000. Simple as that. Promo code 12OZSports. All the caps, no spaces, on mybookie.ag. Alrighty, today on the show, got a bunch of things to touch on. One of the biggest questions we asked this week, and it kind of blew up, where the NHL should host the playoffs. There's been a lot of GM meetings going on, a lot of talks about it, kind of, where, which state, which city should be hosting the NHL playoffs, especially with the fact that they're probably planning on quarantining all the players' staff for the time being and, playing them in front of empty rinks. Kind of just going with the flow. In that sense, seems like everyone is kind of on board with that, and I could really see it happening. Got a few options. Maybe even we'll throw in some curveballs. Of course, connect with us anytime on Twitter. We're there at World Hockey RPT. We're also on Facebook. World Hockey Report on Facebook. Hit us up anytime. Let us know your thoughts. Because I know there was a lot of comments from one city that we didn't include, but I don't think that's going to be an option. Going to touch on that in about a minute. We got bracketology. Didn't touch on it last show either. Come on, we got the breakdown. March Madness style. NHL playoffs, bracketology. Yes, I've got my thoughts. Would love to hear more. If you think I missed an upset, I went, 1 through, 31, 32, gave Boston a bye. They're the top team. They earned it throughout the regular season, so we gave them a bye in that first round. I think it worked out pretty good, though. We'll go over that in the second quarter. Big news today, this morning, it kind of just broke out of Europe, but Florence Schilling named SC Burns general manager. First female to do that in a major professional hockey league, just 31 years of age. She's going to be the GM of SC Bern. I mean, they had a really disappointing year, so you knew that they were going to have to make some changes. Anytime one of the top teams in Europe finishes at the very bottom. Well, not the very bottom. I don't even think they made playoffs. So you knew they had to make changes. Pretty cool. Interesting. Kind of got me thinking, if that were to happen up here, Canada, North America, who would be someone to take over for that? We'll get to that later on in the show. And yes, there's been so much going on social media, some of these best and worst jerseys. We got to dive a little bit deeper into that. That's coming up at the end of World Hockey Report. But first off, there's a very scary situation in the NHL. Got to touch on it. It's just, it was tough news. It was very rough to hear. I mean, especially being a kid who grew up around Swift Current. Former Bronco Colby Cave. He was placed into a medically induced coma. He's been admitted to critical care unit at the Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto after suffering a brain bleed overnight. His wife Emily posted, last night and today have been the worst days of my life. Colby's currently in surgeries, fighting to keep him alive. We need a miracle. Please pray for my husband and best friend. That was tough. Very emotional. I mean, that hits you right in the gut. That's It's a horrible thing to read. It's a horrible thing to hear that's happened. And yeah, I mean, how do you respond to that? You just gotta, best wishes, prayers go out to him. I mean, whatever you can do, whatever you want to do. I mean, that's really something. They said they need a miracle. I mean, I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert or anything. But obviously, I mean, it's serious. You're in ICU. You got a brain bleed. Doesn't take an expert to know that. You hope. I mean, he's had some scary incidents in his hockey career. And, this could be the biggest fight of them all. So, thoughts and prayers go out to him, Emily, everyone else's family, friends, everyone touched by this. I mean, that's a tough thing to learn for the Edmonton Oilers organization. I know he was a guy who was up and down. He was a guy with potential. He was one of those guys who, it doesn't matter if he's in and out of the lineup. There's definitely some bright moments there, and you just never know. Like, I don't even know if you can make a full recovery from that to get back into playing the game. If this is something where this surgery is now, okay, this is end of the road. Who knows? And end of the day, you know what? Number one is he gets healthy. It's bigger than hockey. Definitely bigger than hockey. Alrighty. We did say we were going to talk about where the NHL playoffs were going to be held. So they go into meetings, they come out, they say, yada, yada, yada. We're kind of looking at different locations to host them in. And it's weird enough going, okay, well, why do you need different locations if they're not going to be in front of fans? Like, wouldn't you just go to the fanciest practice facility where you can get, like, the best cameras set up? I mean, I think New Jersey's got a beautiful one, if I remember right. Get a bunch of different camera angles, whatever, no fans. You got room for your statisticians if you're having them there, whatever. Broadcast crews. I'm not sure exactly how they plan on doing that, but still, I mean, you get the point. They're not going to be playing in front of fans. It's very unlikely. Like, unless they're starting in September, which I don't see happening. Most of these major cities have canceled large gatherings until July. So it would make sense to kind of go, alrighty, would we get them there for June, month of June, pretty much have everyone quarantined in a hotel, whatever. I mean, you'd figure it out. And then July you start playing? Or maybe the start of July's training camp, end of July you want to do playoffs? I don't know. Not exactly sure on the dates. But hey, we did put out a poll. Where would you rather see the NHL host playoffs? We got Saskatoon, Grand Forks, North Dakota, and Manchester, New Hampshire. Manchester got 7% of the votes. Not surprised. Who wants to be quarantined there? Grand Forks, another very interesting place. Hey, at least they got a beautiful facility. They definitely have the setup for it, but they only got 33% of the votes. Then you get Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, a place that one of the widest debated places about whether they should have an NHL team or not. That debate always comes up. Should Saskatoon get a team? I mean, they do so good with the Riders, with the Rush. It's very interesting. A new barn's mandatory. New barn needs to go up downtown. That's for sure. If they do it right, I think they've got a chance. If they don't, well, they could be screwed. I mean, there's so many things that go into that as well, with the Canadian dollar being absolutely brutal, along with other things. But hey, we got a bunch of comments on here too. Jordan says Saskatoon. Oki says Vegas is not a city I expected to see on this list. Well, it's one that they're discussing. Uncle Al. Not going to happen in any barns this year, so it's not worth discussing as you're discussing it. Just going to throw that one out there. Bunch of comments. Houston, H-Town. Everyone, okay, not everyone, but most of these people, they want to see it in Houston. Interesting. And although I don't disagree, big fan of the Gordie Howe movie, by the way. That's my one recollection of hockey in Houston. I know they've got the facilities. I actually don't know if where the Houston Rockets play, if they've got all the ice making and hockey equipment there. Anyways, I'm sure they can get it there in time. But still, it's kind of seems weird, and especially a lot of the people commenting Houston. You're gonna have to watch it on TV, right? This isn't gonna be an in-person viewing. This isn't gonna be a fan show up. So I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, I would love to see hockey back in Houston, and I mean NHL team. Maybe. I guess Dallas is pretty successful, and so hockey in Texas has definitely grown. But yet again, all you Houston fans might just want to pump it back a little bit. Hey, we'll try to get a Houston expert on. I got a guy down there. Might be able to get him on for the show next Wednesday. We will try to do that. Talk about hockey in Houston. Would it work? Wouldn't it work? Why and why not? We'll definitely look at getting that one hooked up for the show. It's World Hockey Report coming to you on 12 Ounce Sports. We'll be back after the break. It's World Hockey Report live, coming to you on 12 Ounce Sports. Cody Jansen with you Wednesday, April 8th, 9:18 local time up here in the Great White North. Thanks for joining me this morning. Still got hockey stuff to talk about. And before I get to the next topic, I just want to give a shout out. The Belarusian League, the idiots up there, were still playing through this all. They grinded out their season. I don't even want to know what on earth their coronavirus count is after this, because they just did not get the memo at all. They didn't care. Their president, ignorant, whatever. They're not past it. They are past it. And hey, Minsk wins the championship in overtime at home. Pretty sick feeling, I'm sure. It was kind of rigged all along. I would love to know what the penalties were in the series against Soligorsk, because it felt like probably in the series went 5 games. They won 4-1. They probably had 50 power plays, while Soligorsk had like 5, maybe 10. It was wild. Just to watch it, you're like, okay, yep, no surprise. The team from Minsk is going to win. The only team making this league money, aside from maybe Grodno. But still, Minsk, congrats on your league championship. That was definitely not rigged. We threw up a bracket a while ago. I forgot to get to what I wanted to. I guess this was over a week ago now. But I said March Madness style. I mean, it's kind of the best way to do a NHL playoffs, right? I think so. Single game elimination. That would be absolutely electric. Especially if you're not doing it in front of fans anyways. Whatever, give these guys one game. Say, hey, be good or be gone. That would make it awesome. And so I did have a bracket. I will go through it. It's 1 through 32, just to even out the bracket. Just then Boston gets a bye in the first round. Whatever. It's not. I mean, they were going to beat the 32nd best team in the NHL if there was one. 31st, I believe, I think it's Detroit. I'm pretty confident it's actually Detroit. So at Boston, the 1 seed, they got a bye in the first round. Then the next game was the New York Rangers versus the Calgary Flames. That's a 16-17 matchup. I got the Flames winning. I do. I just think that they're a little bit of a better team. They got a little bit more experience. And yeah, I mean, I think the Flames have some of that playoff experience, grit. They know that, I mean, honestly, if there's ever a time for the Calgary Flames to get to a Stanley Cup final, it would be a bracket format. That's 100% it. Then you got the 8 seed Vegas versus Buffalo. The 25 seed definitely had Vegas getting past them. Although that would be an interesting game just with Buffalo's high scoring ability. They're a pretty emotional team. So a 1-game format could fit them a little bit better. Edmonton would absolutely clobber Montreal in a 9-24 matchup. I don't care if you got Carey Price. I'm sorry. It's not good enough. Number 4, Tampa. They'd beat number 29, San Jose. I mean, the Sharks are just so banged up. You got number 13, Columbus, and number 20, Nashville. I got Nashville pulling off the upset here. I think Pekka Rinne's got one more stellar game left in him. I say one because I don't have him getting through the next round. But I say he's got one more stellar game in him. They can knock off Columbus. Number 5, Washington. They'll probably absolutely slaughter LA. It's a 28 seed. Toronto. Number 12, facing off against number 21, Minnesota. I got the Leafs going on there. St. Louis gets past Detroit, no problem. This is on the other side of the bracket. Then you got Winnipeg, Vancouver. I got Vancouver with the upset on Winnipeg. I just think Vancouver's young guns in a 1-game format as well. They get a chance to take over. They really do. They've got the goaltending. I know Hellebuck's been great. Winnipeg just doesn't have the defense. Biggest upset of the bracketology, especially in the first round. You got New Jersey beating Pittsburgh. That's a 26 seed over a 7 seed. I just think Mackenzie Blackwood can just, pull a rabbit out of his hat here. And the Pens, they're a little bit older, so yes, the rest is going to help. But also, maybe a little bit complacent. You get New Jersey in the first one. There had to be an upset. I'm going with New Jersey here. Dallas beating Chicago, Colorado easily over Ottawa. New York Islanders, they lose to the Florida Panthers here. That's a 14-19 seed. I got the 19th seed Florida Panthers winning that one. Philly gets past Anaheim, no problem. And number 22, Arizona, knocks off number 11, Carolina. That's the first round. Second, I got Boston over Calgary, Vegas over Edmonton, Tampa Bay over Nashville, Washington beats Toronto, St. Louis over Vancouver, Dallas over New Jersey, then Colorado over Florida, and Philly over Arizona. So that knocks us down to our Elite Eight, or quarterfinals, as some would like to call it. We don't really have conference finals or anything anymore because it's a big jumbled mess. But I still would like to see it, because then you got Boston and Vegas in that first quarterfinal. That would be electric. Tell me that that's not what people want to see. I mean, these are all game sevens here. This is one game, winner take all. You get Boston versus Vegas, Rask versus Fleury. Everyone would be absolutely getting out there. Then you got Tampa Bay, Washington. Well, I guess I didn't give my winner of Boston, Vegas. I'm going with the Boston over Vegas. Tampa Bay, Washington. Gotta go with Ovi. The man wants to play more hockey. Washington beats Tampa Bay. St. Louis and Dallas. I mean, great rematch from last year. Still think St. Louis has that upper edge just a little bit. Nothing crazy. But I'm going with Bennington over Bishop. And then I got Philly beating Colorado. So funny enough, in the quarterfinals, it comes down to 4 Eastern teams and 4 Western teams for me. I just thought that was a little bit interesting. So, I mean, I did this game at a time. I did this looking into every single game, kind of every factor. Who's got the better goaltending? Who's got the better offense, defense? You know, you take into account a lot of things when it comes to picking a bracket. And it's just funny it ended up 4 East, 4 West. Now you're down to the semifinals, or what would be the conference finals, and you got Boston versus Washington. I like Washington. I do. I think Boston's a great team, and I think that they probably deserve to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals. But man, they had their off year. They had their party year. They had their off year. And now I think they're ready to get back to it, lift that cup once again. They'd find a way. Their power play is too deadly. I feel like Boston might thrive off of emotions a little bit more. Boston plays a tougher game. Boston had a tougher route to this game. So I picked Washington to beat Boston there. Then I had St. Louis versus Philly. As much as I would love to see the Blues get by again, I feel like they've probably grinded it out to the max at this point, whereas Philly's had the easiest road. You know, their only tough game, like really tough game, was Colorado. So I got Philly getting by, and then Philly, Washington in the final. Carter Hart steals this show. I think the Flyers would host the cup if it's bracketology. That's my thoughts. Hit us up anytime on Twitter. I'm there at World Hockey RPT. My personal, Janet31. We're on Facebook as well, World Hockey Report. Back after the break. Breaking news. Massive news from over in Europe. We'll get to that in about 3 minutes' time. Back on 12 Ounce Sports, Cody Jansen with you here on this beautiful Wednesday out there. Looks great up here in the Great White North. 9:31 local time. Thanks for joining us. Wednesday morning, April 8th. Covered a lot of NHL in that first bit, so let's switch gears just a little bit here. There's some breaking news from this morning, and it was a very interesting. It was an interesting read because it's something that's never happened at the top level of men's professional hockey. Got to give kudos to Emily Kaplan for doing the article. It is a great read on ESPN if you get time. But over in Switzerland, Florence Schelling, probably know the name, through international ice hockey. Longtime Swiss goaltender, been to a bunch of Olympics. We got all of her accolades here coming up. But she's been named the GM of SC Bern. And this isn't just, she's going to be the GM of the dumpiest team in the Swiss Elite League or the Swiss Second League. This is one of the most sought-after clubs in all of Europe by NHLers who want to go overseas and play. This is a team who's putting 16,000, 17,000 fans inside their rink. They're one of the richest clubs in all of Europe. And Florence Schelling was just named the new GM. That's unreal. That's a very cool story. She's just 31, and she's the first and only, so far, female general manager at the top men's professional level. A couple of cool quotes from the team's CEO, Mark Luthi. He said, Florence will be a pioneer, probably worldwide in her role, but she's young, fresh, she'll bring new perspective and break up existing structures. Now, that just tells me that they obviously weren't happy with where they're at, what they were doing, where they were going. And here's the thing, is 2 years ago they were league champions. Last year they finished 9th out of 12 teams in the NLA. That's like the New York Yankees or the LA Dodgers finishing like one of the worst spots in the entire MLB. Can't happen. You're probably going to fire the manager, whatever. You got to do the GM. You got to shake something up. And so, this is a cool moment for hockey. And she was one of the first women to play in the NLB, which is the Swiss Second League as well. Being a goaltender, yes, that's happened in women's pro hockey before. But still, paving the way there. She's from Zurich. She played 11 world championships for Switzerland. She was a 4-time Olympian. That's crazy to say at only 31. That seems absolutely wild. Switzerland won a bronze at the 2014 Sochi Olympics. She was also named tournament MVP and retired from pro hockey in 2018. Played NCAA at Northeastern. There's a lot of accolades there, just her playing side. But as I said before, this team under Alex Chatelain finished first. They were champs in 2019, and then they just fell off the cliff. Bern's up there with the teams like Zurich that you just kind of, you expect them to be the best. You're thinking of like the Munichs, the Berlins, Stockholm, all the biggest places in Europe. Bern's probably sitting number one, especially facilities, city, fans, hockey economy. Nothing really comes too close to that. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see that. Also got me thinking, if this were to happen in North America, who would you look at? I think the obvious answers kind of go towards, maybe Haley Wickenheiser, Cami Granado, someone like that. But if you kind of think away from the whole player standpoint, in the CWHL at least, got it on TV right now. It's a replay of the 2015 semifinals, I believe. But Les Canadiens have been so successful. I think they got 4 championships when the C-Dub was still going on. I don't really follow the NWHL close enough to kind of go over who their GMs are and, big names, things like that. But Meg Hewings, the GM, Les Canadiens, 4 championships in the CWHL. I get it, there's not that many teams in there. Still competitive, has some GM experience. Could she make the transition to the men's game? Really don't see why not. And when you look at, Team Canada's current players right now, in the future, could someone like Marie-Philippe Poulin make that jump? I'll tell you for free, there's definitely some GMs in the NHL that could learn a thing or two. I mean, it's kind of black and white when you see some of the moves being made, when you see some of the decisions. As Byrne just decided, could a fresh new face help? Think for some of that? Definitely could. You also think of someone like Kim St. Pierre, who's kind of, seen multiple generations of the hockey world, played at, the highest level, won gold medals, seen some, great players through and through, whether that's men's, women's, all of the above. I'm not saying that these people are just going to step right into an NHL GM position, but hockey ops is not out of the question by any means. By any means. Alrighty, we're going to take another quick break here, come back. Let's talk some jerseys. There's been a lot of those, social media trends. It's like, oh, you got to keep 3. Thought there were some interesting ones recently. I go over some of my best and worst, or favorite and least favorite, whatever you want to consider them, jerseys of all time. It's World Hockey Report, coming to you live on 12 Ounce Sports. Cody Jansen with you live on this Wednesday morning, April 8th, 2020. What a year. What a year it has been. 9:43 local time. Final segment of World Hockey Report Live this morning, coming on 12 Ounce Sports. Connect with us anytime. Would love to know your thoughts, especially on this one. We're on Twitter at World Hockey RPT. We're on Facebook, World Hockey Report. This is a very opinion based topic. I love talking about it because, come on, everyone knows style over performance. That's the only way to go about this. And yes, we are going to talk best and worst. I was thinking, do I do a top 5, Mount Rushmore, 3 stars? What do I do for this? But, honestly, there's so many to go over that, it's... I don't even know if you can put a number on them. There's just so many bad ones, and there's so many awesome jerseys that I thought were very creative. And yes, we are going to start this one off on the ugly side. And, if you want a good laugh, the Tampa Bay Lightning 1996 alternate jerseys. Just disgusting. An oversized logo on the chest. They've got kind of I don't even know if they're bats or lightning, whatever. They got a little bit of, gold, yellow on the arms, gray shoulders. Disgusting. Now flip into the good. 2003 Dallas Stars alternate jerseys. If you're a Marty Turco fan, you know which ones we're talking about. Black jersey, red and gold trim. You've got that green bull on the chest. It's the same jersey they were wearing when Pavel Datsyuk undressed him, I do believe. But still, unbelievable jersey. I thought those were just, sharp. Sharp's probably the best way I would put it. Back to the ugly ones. The California Golden Seals. Or California Seals? Golden Seals? I don't know. It was like a brutal turquoise, green, yellow. They were also one of the first teams to wear pant covers, I do believe. Fun fact. Another just gross thing. It was just the turquoise pant covers. No, looked like a jumpsuit. Now, here's maybe a hot take because there's multiple teams. If you've got an orange base jersey, I don't care if it's alternate, like the Edmonton Oilers or, the early 2000s New York Islanders. Oh, man. Even, I think 2015, 2016, the Anaheim Ducks had orange base jerseys too. If you've got an orange-based jersey, get out of here. GTFO. Disgusting. Disgusting. Not a fan one bit. Orange-based just shouldn't be allowed. It looks terrible. It's hard. It's not just hard to watch. It's just ugly. Disgusting. Early 2000s. This is on the good side back again. Early 2000s Phoenix Coyotes, the alternate jerseys, the original Kachina jersey. The OG one. You've got that weird Arizona desert trim, kind of an off green look to the actual jersey. I thought those were pretty badass. Another throwback, maybe an honorable mention. I don't even know if these are nice or ugly. It's a weird one. But those Vancouver Canucks alternates from 2002, 2003, 4, that era where it was the gradient color, it was blue at the top and it went down into red, or a reddish maroon. They had red shoulders as well. Very interesting. That's Naslin Sedin days. I don't know. I'm very on the fence about that. I thought it was cool. I thought it was unique. But also, the more you look at it, you're that's kind of weird and honestly not that great. A definite great one. And this is probably one of my favorites of all time. Is the Calgary Flames 2004, 5, 6 alternate. The horse breathing flames out of their nose on black. You got that red base. Unbelievable. One of the best of all time. Now, I've got I'll finish it off with my last two, and I will put this is number one on everyone's list, but I'm gonna put it as my number two, and it's those original Nashville Predators alternate jerseys. Now, if you remember what I'm talking about, it's that like mustard, disgusting yellow. I think Canada even tried to use it for the Olympics as their alternate one year, and it was just like the weirdest, grossest thing ever. Maybe it's a World Cup. I don't know. That off yellow kind of looks like diarrhea. They had a weird like cartoon logo that I did not like. One of the original Preds logos. Probably just one of the worst jersey ideas of all time. But nothing will top how bad Montreal Canadiens 2009 throwback jersey was. Look it up. It was an absolute eyesore. There was nothing good about it. There wasn't the same shade of blue on any two pieces of that uniform, and it was like the red, white, and blue stripes. The whole thing striped out. Then you got ugly brown gloves. You've got their regular blue helmets. And then you've got like a darker blue pant. It says CAC on it. Something that I don't even know if that's Canadiens Athletic Club. Whatever it is. That's horrible. Look it up. 2009. The Montreal Canadiens throwback jersey. It's striped. It's absolutely disgusting. And yes, it is one of the worst. And when I mean like one of the worst, it is like in my opinion, it's the worst. If a team were to wear that nowadays, I don't know. Like you could never pull it off. I don't know how they thought this was a good idea in 2009. Must have been struggling for ticket sales. Alrighty, let's wrap up this show. Quick recap. We talked where should the NHL host playoffs. Houston, I love you. Would love to see you have a hockey team one day. But as a city to quarantine players in and wrap it up, I don't know. I don't know if I see Houston being that location. I feel like there's too many people. There's a lot more risk. Do they even have an arena or an actual proper setup? Can't guarantee or deny it there. I mean, Manchester, New Hampshire, that's just a lost cause. I don't think that should be an option. I don't think that will be an option. Just seems like a weird place. Vegas for the NHL playoffs. Are people really going to want to be quarantined there? Like, no, if you quarantine, you want to be quarantined somewhere low population, still decent facilities, somewhere you can still get your workout in, still go to practice, stuff like that, and not have to worry about millions of people. Not even millions, hundreds of thousands of people running around, being clowns. I got Saskatoon as number one. It's over Grand Forks, that's for sure. Bracketology, would love to see it March Madness style. Philadelphia, Cup champs from the start. If it goes to, bracket style playoffs, that's what I'm putting my money on. I want to see it. Give everyone a fair shot. Why not? You didn't finish off the regular season. You didn't give anyone a fair shot at anything at this point. I mean, no one's got a fair shot at a playoff spot, and no one's got a fair shot at the first overall draft pick. So, why not? Maybe do it as a reverse bracket too, where the teams who lose have to play that out now, and the winner of that gets the first overall pick. Why not? Why not? NHL, this is your chance to be creative. This is the biggest chance in the history of the NHL that they have to be creative, to do something different, to absolutely go off the rails. This is something where this could be the craziest decision, the craziest idea the NHL has ever had, has ever seen, has ever made. And they've got that opportunity. I mean, I'm not saying that there's no chance the NHL is getting regular playoffs, but it's very unlikely. And so if you're not, I mean, who wants to see a best-of-3 series in front of an empty rink? No. Games 1 and 2 are kind of pointless. Maybe not game 2 as much, but still, it's not the same. You've got a chance, NHL. Single game, elimination, Start it off. I got the brackets made for you. Might as well give it a shot. Big news from over in Europe. SC Bern names a new GM, and it's 31-year-old Florence Schilling, first female general manager of a major professional league. Very cool step, and that's one of the biggest clubs in Europe, as we talked about. That's one of the biggest hockey teams in the world. Let's be realistic. I mean, they're going to blow any American League team, club-wise, out of the water. Rink, facility, fans. I don't know about players. It would be interesting, though. I think that they definitely have they've got capability to bring in whatever talent they want. Money-wise, yeah, they're doing all right. Best and worst jerseys of all times. I say the 09 Montreal Canadiens throwbacks. The stripes are the worst. And the best, I love the Flames ones with the horse. The fire breathing out of the nose. Also like the OG Kachina jersey for the Phoenix Coyotes. That was awesome. Really enjoyed that one. So I'll say those two. Probably the top favorites. Alrighty, that's going to do it. Wrap this thing up. World Hockey Report live. Coming to you on 12 Ounce Sports. Yes, the NHL playoffs were supposed to start today. No, it's not going to happen. Unfortunately. But what do you do? Alright, for Cody Jansen, World Hockey Report. Until next week, have yourself... it's going to be Easter this weekend. Right. Have a great Easter weekend. Good Friday, Easter Monday. I know you probably can't spend it with your family. It's quarantine. Whatever. Check them a FaceTime, phone call, text. Do what you got to do. Have a great Easter weekend. Back here next week on 12 Ounce Sports.